PS. Serratus posterior. Serratus posterior and posterior scalenes are a strong muscular component that gets overlooked in breathing and daily posture when treating core strength engagement. With such an intrinsic relationship between these two seemingly small and unimportant muscles, we don't realize precisely what effect they have inherently on our body, even though they are being utilized every second of the day. We all know breathing is the key to life, but for us to get this breath inside of us, our bodies need some form of physical action to animate these meat sacks we utilize to create the lives we choose to create. That being said, how do we fix the small things inside of us that we can't quite see, feel, or understand how it works? Just ask me. Nowadays, we all experience back pain for whatever reason. Some know it's from posture, but also, just because it's posture related doesn't mean that it's the only component affected. Muscle tone affects posture. So if we become aware of our muscle tone in our neck, where everyone goes to grab as soon as you have a stiff neck, understanding that state of the muscles can tell us a lot about our daily lifestyle. When this neck area gets tight, we sometimes learn that these muscles are overstretched rather than overused. So the activation of these muscles in this state makes it difficult if the full length of the muscle is inhibited by structural imbalances. In the case of this PSSP relationship, the posterior scalenes aids in the elevation of the top part of the rib cage. This movement is most prevalent when we breathe correctly. Our ribs can't fully expand to their maximum capacity when the muscles that allow it to do so are pulling at it in the opposite direction or aren't strong enough to allow the proper structure movement free of restriction. The posterior serratus has the opposing job description of lowering the ribs and keeping them adhered closely to the spine. Now, this is important because when we think about managing back pain, the spinal column is the highest level of concern, just as well as the providing foundation for our diaphragm at the bottom of our ribs and at the top of our lumbar spine. This component of our body has been conditioned over time to not be utilized and in turn aids in weak posture and insignificant core stability, all just through breathing improperly. If our ribs are being fixed into a specific position by these intrinsic muscles that are in a heightened state of contraction or even an overstretched state of weakness, that spells pain. It's a major key to properly assess the state of each of these muscle components to properly address the capacity of breathing techniques to be applied for the structural balancing to begin. More than likely, the posterior scalenes are in a hypercontracted state from stress, restricted range of motion, and other weak postural aspects, forcing them to compensate constantly. In helping to release this muscle, targeted activation of the serratus posterior and isolated intrinsic breathing into the diaphragm are effective steps towards targeting the underlying map towards managing back pain. Here are a few tips to get a quick fix on pain management of this posterior scalene issue. Start by laying down on your back. Then tuck your hips under and keeping your back as flat as you can, begin to turn on that serratus. Pin the shoulder blades down towards the ground slightly right behind your rib cage. Next, place your opposing hand onto the opposing clavicle, hooking your fingertips into the crevice and traction downwards towards the hips. Bring 3 deep breaths into the top portion of the chest while letting the head extend back slightly with each exhale. Continue moving hand positions down the chest until the neck is capable of resting to the opposite side. You can also add in a pocket reach to mobilize the side of the shoulder or neck for a deeper release. For a hands-on approach, Schedule a call to find out how you can attend the next workshop to learn more hands-on techniques for yourself. Don't forget to click the link and subscribe to Max Wellness YouTube channel for more self-care tips like this.